Hi, this is Mrs. Earl with a short tutorial on writing linear equations. Let's start with a pattern. Here we have a t-chart with our x and y values. Let's go ahead and graph those values. The first value in the chart is -1, +2. We then have 0, +4, and 1, +6. So let's draw our line. Now, of course, the chart could continue on in both directions, so we put arrows. Our second step now is to figure out the slope of the line. That is, what is the rate of change? We can do that in two ways. The first way is we can look at the table and we can see the rate of change in y. If we notice in the table, to get from 2 to 4, we're going to add 2. And from 4 to 6, we're going to add 2 again. Notice the x is going up by 1, so as long as the x continues going up by 1, whatever the rate of change will show in the y column. So the rate of change is 2. The second way that we can show the rate of change is by drawing a slope triangle. A slope triangle says we take one point on the graph on a grid line and make a triangle to another point on the graph. Make sure the points we pick are on where two grid lines intersect. On this side, we're going up 1, 2, 3, 4. We've gone up 4 and 1, 2 across. We've gone up 4 and across 2. That's rise, how far up, over run, you run across. Well, 4 over 2 can be simplified into 2 over 1, or 2, which is exactly the same thing we got in the table when we looked for our slope, or rate of change. The second thing we need to look for in our table is the Y-intercept. That's the point where our line crosses the y-axis. And you can see this point right here is our Y-intercept. I'm going to circle that point, and we see that point is 1, 2, 3, 4. That point would be located at 0, 4, with making 4 the y-intercept because x is the 0. Well, let's look at our table. We see in our table when x is 0, y is 4. Once again, 4 is our y-intercept. So to recap, for this graph, the slope equals +2, and the y-intercept, that's where the line crosses the y-axis, equals 4. Now I can use this information to write an equation for this line. The general equation for a line the general equation is y equals mx plus b. But what does that mean? Well, y is from the graph over here. X is from the graph as well. M is our slope of our line. And you guessed it, B is the y-intercept. So I can rewrite y equals mx plus b, and these are just placeholders. These variables just hold the place until we know what to substitute in. So now I'm going to rewrite it. Y and x are going to stay the same because they come from the table. The slope for this line is 2, and the y-intercept is a +4. So this equation y equals 2x plus 4 is the equation for this line that we drew. Now we can make sure that we are correct, that our line is correct, or that our equation is correct by substituting numbers in for x. So we already know that if x is 1, y should be 6. So let's try it out. I'm going to rewrite the equation. Y equals 2x plus 4. If I substitute a 1 in for the x, I now have 2 times 1 plus 4. It should equal y. So if I continue solving, and if you want to draw your train tracks to be nice, you can. 2 plus 4 equals 6. So indeed y equals 6. And that's what we had up here in our table. So that will work for any value of x to plug it into the equation, and it will tell you the value of y. Well, we don't have a value of 3 for x in our table, so let's try that out. So up here I'm going to do y equals 2 times 3 plus 4. And if I solve that, y equals 6 plus 4, so y should equal 10. So if x is 3, y is 10. Let's go back to the graph and try it out. If x is 1, 2, 3, let's go all the way up. And let's see where we end up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Wait, I can't go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So let's carry the line across. And this would be the point. If x is 3, y is 10. And indeed, that point is on our line. For example number 2, I'm going to start with the graph. The first thing we want to figure out is what's the slope of this line. So let's draw a slope triangle. I'm going to draw my slope triangle from this point, and the rise this time is going down over run. Well, I went down 1, 2, 3 down. So that's going to be a -3. And I'm going to the right 1. So the slope is -3, or down 3 over a 1, which simplifies into -3. You could also look at it as the slope being 3 over a 1, but since it's going down, it would be a -3. The second thing we need to look for is the y-intercept. Where does the line cross the y-axis? And that would be at this point right here. So the y-intercept equals 4. Now we can write our equation for the line. What is it again? Everybody think about it in your head. Y equals mx plus b. X and y come from the table, so we just need to rewrite it, putting in the slope, which is -3 x plus +4. And here is our equation for the line. Now let's try a point that we don't have right now. How about if we substitute in +2? So I would rewrite the equation. Y equals -3 times 2 plus 4. -2 plus 4 is -3 times 2 is -6 plus 4 equals -2. So y equals, should probably have y equals the whole way, y equals -2. So let's see if that's correct. On my graph, x is +2, 1, 2, and y is 1, 2, -2. And indeed, x is 2, y is -2 from the graph. That can also be shown on the t-table. If x is 2, y is -2. And remember, the y-intercept, x is 0 and y is +4. So by using point-intercept form, you can go backwards and forwards, writing an equation from a graph or graphing from an equation. Hope this helps, and I'll see you in class.